Hi everybody, my name is Rupa, working as assistant professor in Chevrolet Engineering College. I'm dealing the subject electrical machines too, and today's topic in this is consection and damping windings of alternator. So what is the consection and what are the damping, what are called damper windings? You will see. So coming to the consection already, in previous classes we have seen about the stator and the stator frames. Now it is about the stator core. So this armature core, nothing but stator will be, the armature will be on the stator, so it can also be called as armature core. So this armature core is supported by the stator frame and it is built up of laminations. Okay, so this is over already, and now we are going to see, look at the slots, how the slots are designed. So if you see here, we are getting three types of slots, different shapes of armature slots are used. And here in this, we are getting we are having three types of slots. First one is wide open slot. This is also used in DC machines. And it has one advantage that it permits easily installation of form wound coils. Form wound coils means if you want to shape the coil before putting into the slot, it is called as form wound. So before putting the coil, before putting the straight copper wire in one shape, in desired shape, you want to previously for wound the coil in that shape what you want, and with that shape we have to put it in the slot. Suppose if you take a circular coil, if you want a circular coil, what you have to do, if you take the copper wire and if you wound onto a circular wire, suppose if you take a pencil, if you wound the copper wire onto the pencil, and if you remove the pencil, what is the shape, what is the copper wire getting shape? It is in circular form. Okay, so this is called as form wound. That means before putting into the slot only we have to wound the copper coil, and with that shape we have to keep it in the slot. So this wide open type slot has an advantage of form wound coils, and these are easy removal in case of repair. So if form wound is possible means it is not time taking process. It is a very easy process to put the copper coil into the armature. So that's why this is termed as an advantage. And if there is a repair, it is easily removed. But other than this advantage, it is having one disadvantage, that the in the distribution of air gap flux, it will be distributing the air gap flux into bunches. So if there is a uniform distribution of flux, there will not be any ripples in the waves generated. But if there are any bunches in the air gap flux distribution, this produces ripples in the wave of generated EMF. Right? So the semi-closed type, next type of slot is semi-closed type. This semi-closed type slots, these are better in their respect because they do not allow the use of form wound coils. The whole closed type slots or tunnels will not disturb. Where suppose if you take the semi-closed one slot, here the form wound possibility is not there. We have to take the copper wire into the slot and we have to wound there difficult only. And this also distributes the air gap in non-uniform way. But what is the advantage means? They increase the inductance of the windings. And second one is the armature conductors have to be threaded. though there is increasing initial labor cost. So what happens when you increase the threaded one? When there is a need for threaded one, initial labor cost will be increased and the cost of winding will also be increased. So these are rarely used only because of the complications occur in this. These are very rarely used. So these are the closed one. Closed one is also formed, and this is also rarely used. Next, this is all about stator. Next one, rotor. See here we are having two types of rotors. First one is silent pole type, and second one is smooth cylindrical type, or we can also call it as non-silent pole type. First one in the rotor, silent pole type, that is projecting type. So what is meant by projector? It ejects outcome. Okay, so here we are calling it as silent pole type, means the poles will be ejected from the rotor, right? They will be pointing outside towards the rotor, towards the outside the rotor. So here in the figure you can see here, these are ejected outwards from the rotor. These are called as silent pole rotors or projecting type rotors. These are used in low and medium speed alternators. So this is having large number of projecting poles, and their core means inside this one, it is bolted. These cores are bolted, or these cores are bolted or dovetailed. That means these are screwed. That means screwed onto a heavy magnet wheel of cast iron or steel, or other than cast iron and steel, we can choose a material which is having a good magnetic vaulting. Okay. So these generators are characteristics by their having large diameters and short axial lengths. These are having large diameters and the axial length will be very short. So see here, this is the axial length. This is called as axial length, and this is the diameter, right? Okay, so if you see the difference between these two, you can know that which is silent pole rotor. This one is the silent pole rotor, right? So the diameters are more and axial length. This is axial length. In this picture, you can see the axial length, clear cut of axial length. So this is the axial length. This long length is the axial length, and this is the diameter. This circle is the diameter. So see here, this silent pole rotor. These are the silent pole rotors. These are the smooth cylindrical type rotors. So these silent pole rotors, these are having short axial length and large diameters, right? And the poles and pole shoes, these will be covering 2/3 of the pole pitch. I will tell you what is pole pitch in next classes. These are laminated. So why we laminate the core? For anything, for any object, if you laminate the iron part, that is to reduce the eddy current losses. Okay, so if you take in large machines, the field winding will be consisting of rectangular copper strip wound on the edges. Next, coming to the smooth cylindrical type, second type of rotor. It is used for steam turbine alternators, that is turbo alternators. These will be having low diameters and high axial lengths. So they can run at heavy speeds. If you take the diameter in high value, there is no possibility of running at high speeds, right? It is very difficult. If you take long axle length and short diameters, then it is then there is possibility of running at large. Okay, so if there is a possibility of large speeds at low diameters and large axial lengths. If you take heavy diameters, what happens? It may get damaged. So the rotor will be consisting of smooth solid steel cylinder, and it is a smooth solid cylinder, that is poles are not ejected outwards. Poles will be like that. How the poles will be shown are, they are in the cylindrical, they are slotted into the cylindrical rotor. So these are, the rotor is a steel cylinder and it is having slots. The rotor itself is having slots, and it is having slots on the outer periphery, on the outer circumference. The rotor is having slots. Okay, so in these slots we accommodate the field coils. The field winding is accommodated in these slots. So actually these rotors are usually designed for 2 to 4 pole turbo generators, and the RPM will be 3600 revolutions per minute, or it can make 1800 revolutions per minute. And for this type of rotors, 2 or 4 regions corresponding to the central poles, these are left unslotted. Next, and these central polar areas, these are called as central polar areas, which are left on unslotted, and I will show you in next figure. See here, these are these are central polar areas. These central polar areas are surrounded by the field windings placed in the slots. So we are leaving the central polar areas, and the field coils are so arranged that these polar areas, the area of flux density will be maximum on the polar central line, and it gradually, this is the polar central line, and it will be gradually decreasing away on the either sides. On the either sides, this is the central polar area. This one. Okay, we are leaving the central polar area, not putting the winding, copper winding. So these are having high flux densities. These central polar areas are having high flux densities, and the flux density will be decreasing as it approaches the sides, right? So poles are non-silent type here, right? So they do not project out from the surface of the rotor. Non-silent means they do not project. And in order to avoid the excessive peripheral velocity, these have small diameters of about 1 meter and so. So these turbo generators are having small diameters and long axial lengths. And this construction also, by taking the small diameters and large axial lengths, this type of construction gives better balance, and it gives also a quieter operation and also less windage losses also. So if the diameter will be increasing, the windage losses, the air friction will be increasing. It have to overcome the wind, and it had to rotate. So these are called as windage losses. These windage losses will be reduced when you take short diameters. Okay. Next one, damper windings. So what are damper windings means? Most of the alternators we are taking, these have their pole shoes which are slotted for receiving copper bars or damper wires. Okay, so these rotors, these pole shoes means what they are ejecting, the pole shoes, you know about the pole shoes. These pole shoes will be having some slots. So these slots are, why we are taking these slots? For copper bars of a grid or for damper windings. Okay, so these are also called as squirrel cage winding, damper windings. So these copper bars are short circuited both ends by a heavy copper rings, right? So if you see the smooth cylindrical type, I have shown you that in the you are having two types of rotors in the induction motor, slip ring and smooth cylinder type. Okay, in that smooth cylindrical type, the copper bars are skewed at an angle. These are not parallel to the rotor, but they are skewed because in order to avoid the interlocking of the armature and the rotor, we are skewing the copper bars. So at that diagram only, I have shown you that the copper bars are connected at the end. These are short circuited at the end by the end rings, right? So the copper bars are short circuited on both sides by heavy copper bars. These are called as end rings. Okay, so these dampers, nothing but these are called as dampers. These dampers are useful in preventing the hunting. Hunting means any fluctuations in the speed gives a unbalanced rotation of the rotor. So in order to prevent the hunting momentary speed fluctuations, these are called as momentary field fluctuations. So in order to avoid the hunting, these generators are provided with dampers. Okay. Okay, so in order to prevent the hunting, we are using the damper windings. Actually, in generators, these are needed when synchronous motors are when synchronous, we have to provide high torques in the synchronous motors. Okay, so these turbo generators, these do not have damper windings. Except in the special cases only we have to take. If you want to synchronize them, then we have to take the damper windings. Because why these turbo generators do not have damper windings means the solid field poles themselves acts as efficient dampers there. So under normal running conditions, these damper windings do not carry any current because the rotor will be running at synchronous speed only. So these do not conduct any current. And these also maintain balanced three-phase voltage when there is any unbalanced load conditions. Okay, so this is about the damper windings. Next, so there is a need of knowing the armature and how the armature windings are made. Actually, you know about speed and frequency, right? So what is speed? The rotor rotation is called as speed, right? So in the alternator, there will be existing a definite relationship between the speed and the rotor and the frequency and the generated EMF and number of poles. You know that F is equal to Pn by 120 or N is equal, P is equal, we can write any formula from that. F is equal to Pn by 120 Hz, right? So if you consider the armature, it It is situated at the center of North Pole and it is rotating in clockwise direction. So here we take that the conductor is situated, the copper wire is situated at the place of maximum flux density. So it is having, as it is situated in the place of maximum flux density, it will be having maximum EMF induced in it. So by the direction of induced EMF, which is given by Fleming's right hand rule, we can know the current or motion of the conductor, right? So see that when the conductor is in interpolar gap means between the two poles, it has minimum EMF because there will be only minimum flux density. Where there is maximum flux density, there will be maximum EMF, right? So again, at the center of the south pole, it has a maximum EMF induced in it because at that time flux density will be maximum. But the direction of EMF when the conductor is on north pole is opposite to that of south pole, right? Because south pole and north pole will be quite opposite. The direction of EMF in the north pole will be quite opposite to the south pole, right? So if you take one cycle of EMF, it is induced in the conductor and I am taking one pair of poles passes over it while rotating. The EMF can be equal to, through one cycle, the EMF will be equal to twice the pole pitch. I will say the pole pitch, what is pole pitch in further classes, and remember the EMF will be twice the pole pitch. So number of cycles per revolution is equal to P by 2 and number of revolutions per second is N by 60. From here I can write F is equal to Pn by 120 Hs, right? So after you reduce this equation, see about the, or P is equal to 120 F by P, we can write. See about the armature windings, very, very important topic. So if you see, if you know about the pole pitch, coil span, like that only, you can go for further classes. So see here, armature windings. So actually this armature windings in the alternator will be different from those of DC machines. It is quite different because in DC machines, in the former wound, we can wound the copper wire. But while wounding the armature copper wire in the armature slots given, there should be some restrictions and there will be some types in which the armature winding is winded. Okay, so in DC machines, these have closed circuit windings, right? One will be closed, the winding will be closed, right? So, but in the case of alternators, these windings will be in open. In the sense that I am telling that open means there will be no closed path for the armature currents in the winding itself. In the winding itself, there will be no closed path. One end of the winding is joined to the neutral point and other is brought out. Okay, so this brought out is connected to the star connected armature. Okay, so there will be no closed path in the inside the winding, but two ends will be brought out. One end will be joined to the neutral point and other to be connected to the star connected armature. So most commonly for three-phase alternators, we are using two types of armature windings. First one is single layer winding and second one is double layer or two layer winding. So first coming to the single layer winding. So this is the single layer winding. So this single layer winding, it is also referred to as concentric or chain winding. Okay, and sometimes it is also a simple bar type or wave winding. You know about wave winding and lap winding, right? So it is simply bar winding or bar type or wave type winding, and it is also called as concentric or chain winding. So if you see the figure here, it is a three-phase alternator, right? This shows only single layer, that means one turn. Full pitch winding, so I am repeating once, it shows a single layer, one turn, full pitch winding for 4-pole generator. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. You are having 4 poles, single layer, one turn, full pitch. I will explain you what is full pitch in next classes. See here, and see here, I will lightly explain you what is full pitch in this, so that you can understand the single layer winding. So see, there are total how many slots? 1 to 12, right? This is called as a slot. This gap is called as a slot. In this we take the armature winding, right? Listen carefully. 12 slots are there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, total there are 12 slots. So giving 3 slots per pole, right? Each pole is sharing 3 slots, right? So I am giving the numbers for your convenience for the poles. This is first pole, this is second pole, this is third pole, and this is fourth pole, right? So first pole is sharing 3 slots, 1, 2, 3. Under 3 slots, this pole is under control, right? So this pole is sharing 3 slots, 1, 2, and 3 slots, right? So I have to write 12 slots, 3 slots per pole, right? Is it correct? 3 slots per pole. So per phase, in terms of per phase, I am telling 1 slot per phase per pole. Okay, so this slot is termed as, see here, 12 slots, totally 12 slots, right? Totally 12 slots. Out of 12 slots, each pole is sharing 3 slots. So what I am calling that 3 slots per pole. And each 3 slots, 1, 2, 3, each 3 slots is having 3 phases, 1 phase, 2 phase, and 3 phase, right? Okay, each 3 slots are divided into phases. First phase, second phase, third phase, right? First phase is called as R, second phase is called as Y, and third phase B, R, Y, B, right? R, B, Y or R, Y, B, okay? So see here, I am telling about 1 slot. I am calling 1 slot as 1 slot per pole per phase, right? I can call it like that. Each slot is having 1 phase. So I can write 1 slot per phase per pole. Okay. So the pole pitch is 3. After 3 slots, I am moving to other pole, right? So here the pole pitch is the 3 slots which are shared by the pole is called as pole pitch. So what is the pole pitch here? 3, because each pole shares 3 slots. So to get maximum EMF, listen carefully, to get maximum EMF, 2 sides of the coil should be 1 pole pitch apart. Okay, in order to get the maximum EMF, coil span should be equal to pole pitch. Okay, so I will explain you what is coil span also. To get maximum EMF, 2 sides of the coil span means what? The gap between the 2 sides of the coil is called as coil span, right? So This is a coil, right? See here, see the diagram. This is a U-turn coil, right? I am bending the copper wire like this, and this is termed as coil, right? So this distance is called as coil span. So at which slot I am keeping this turn, and at which slot I am keeping the other turn, this is called as coil span. Okay, so in order to get the maximum EMF, the two sides of the coil should be one pitch, that is coil span should be equal to pole pitch. Okay, so like this we have to connect. So what is the pole pitch? 3. Coil span should be equal to pole pitch for maximum. So how to connect? Like this you will connect. Like this. So the distance between the two sides of the coil is 3. What is the pole pitch? Pole pitch is also 3. So if pole pitch is equal to coil span, then maximum EMF will be getting. Understand? Okay, so as the pole is sharing 3, the pole pitch is equal to 3. First three slots are shared by this pole 1, right? So pole pitch is 3. Coil span means this side of coil is connected to other slot with other side of coil. Okay, so this is the coil, this is one side of coil, and this is second side of coil, right? So this is called as coil span. The distance between the two sides of the coil is coil span. So coil span is what? 3. 1, 2, 3, right? Pole pitch is also 3, right? So if coil span is equal to pole pitch, then we will get maximum EMF. Okay, so if you see the figure here, this is north pole. The upward pole is this one. This is north pole, and this is also north pole, and these two are south poles, right? So if one side of the coil is under center of the north pole, then the other side of the same coil should be under the center of south pole with 180 degrees gap. Okay,